If you think that medical billing is just data entry, entering in codes, getting the information from the provider's office, or maybe you think that it is an easy work from home career, then this video is going to completely change your perspective. Throughout my 20-year career, I have spoken to too many new medical billers. Too many. To know that the myths that I'm going to cover today are the reasons why they have struggled when they first started. I'm exposing the 4 biggest misconceptions about the medical billing profession. And I'm going to tell you what the reality actually looks like, at least in my experience, so that you can make a better career choice before you invest your time and your money. If you're new here, my name is Tamika. I'm a self-employed medical biller, and I would love for you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, hype it up, all of the good stuff, so that more people could understand about medical billing before they actually get into it and then decide it's not the right fit for them. Now, the first misconception is that medical billing is just submitting claims. So if you know anything about medical billing, even if it's just a little bit, you probably know that submitting claims is the main thing. And although that is true, that is not the only thing that we do. So in reality, what we do is submit claims, but there is a lot we do before and after, especially when that claim is submitted. When we submit claims, we have to first make sure that what's on that claim form is right so that the claim could be paid, hopefully, the first time. We are responsible for making sure that the providers get their money quickly, on time, not delayed because we're not doing our pre-work before that. Now, I've done a video talking about the duties of medical billers, and I will link that video above. But in general, we are not just submitting claims and taking what we get. We are trying to make sure that the providers are receiving the funds, the revenues, their monies, and we are responsible for doing that and making sure that it is consistent. So, beyond submitting claims, we also have to post them and check up on the claims, because there are a lot of times that we send claims and they're not paid, or they're paid wrong, or they're denied. There are so many instances. And so what we need to do is make sure that we know it's not just submitting claims, because if we just send out a claim and then we leave that will leave a lot of money on the table. So what I would recommend is that you know that you would have to continuously educate yourself. If you just start out even submitting claims, that's your one duty. That doesn't mean that's all you need to know. You need to learn about the complete revenue cycle. You need to learn about what else there is that you have to do. You need to learn about what other duties are that ties to yours that will help you do your job more. So educating yourself more in the revenue cycle in general, not just in medical billing, will be the best way to defy this misconception. Now, the second misconception is one that I probably should have put first, because this is one that I hear and when I say all of the time. And it's that medical billing makes a lot of money. Now, the reality of this misconception is that it depends heavily on the capacity that you're in this career field. What does that mean? Depending on the capacity will definitely depend on how much money that you make. So if you're expecting to be a new medical biller, just learning medical billing, coming into the field, working for a small private practice, and that you're going to make all of this money, then you're going to be seriously disappointed. When I got into medical billing, I'm going to be completely honest with you, it was because of the money factor. And I'm going to leave a video that I did above giving you the whole scoop about how and why I got into medical billing. But if I'm also going to be completely honest with you, it was more of an exception and not the rule, because I had a lot of things in my favor. I was already working at the job. I had a little bit of experience as far as seeing it in that office, and I also had a little bit of education. So there were some other things that played a role in why I made the money that I made. But when it comes to someone who's starting out completely new and who doesn't know anything, doesn't have any experience, then it's going to be hard for you to make a lot of money. Sometimes even when you have that experience, you've been in a position for a little while, but you're working as a W-2 employee, you still are at a cap and can only make a certain amount of money. So if you're thinking that it's this quick, fast, get rich quick scheme that you can do when you get into medical billing, then I am sorry to tell you that it is not that. What I think you should know in order to make the type of money that you may want to make as a medical biller is to first understand your options. Now, I'm going to link a video talking about the different types or different ways that you can be a medical biller. But I think you need to know those options and know how to leverage those options. So sometimes you may need to start off in a lower capacity of medical billing just to get the experience, the education, the knowledge of how things work in healthcare and in the revenue cycle. And then you can move up and expand and be able to then get the type of money that you want. So it may take you a little while. You can have a goal or a plan that you'll work in a certain area or in a certain way for a certain amount of time. And then you can see and grow into that role of making a lot of money as a medical biller. Each one has its pros and cons, and I'll link a video talking about that. But there is ways to make good money as medical billers, but it's not as easy as you think, and it is not in every role as a medical biller that you can do that. Now, if you have questions about being a self-employed medical biller like I am, which is one of the roles that you can be as a medical biller, then be sure to schedule your remote one-on-one with me. Come with all of your questions so that I can answer them and help guide you to being that self-employed medical biller that you may want to be, or starting your own medical billing business. The link is always in the description box and spaces are limited. So just check it out. Make sure that you check it out today so that you can get your questions answered and stop wondering what to do. The third misconception is that you can learn medical billing in a short amount of time. You can just read about it, Google it, take a 2-day course and you can learn it because it's just that easy. Now, reality is that is so not true, okay? It is what is portrayed or promised in the ads and the internet and all these places of people who want to make you believe that that is just what it is. But if it was just that easy, if it was as simple as reading a book or taking a class, a boot camp for 2 days, can you imagine how many people would have been medical billers, would have been in the field if it was that easy? But it's not that easy. So don't let anyone make you think that it is. Now, it's not rocket science. So I'm not going to try and make it seem like it's so hard and that you won't be able to learn it. But I am going to say that you need some formal learning along with continuous education in order to master the medical billing skill. Now, it's not black and white and everything is not going to be clear and cut. Things are going to change all the time when it comes to this field. But learning the foundations, whether that is through an online class or online course like Preppy, which Preppy is an online course that you can take to learn medical billing and coding on your own pace. You don't have to go into a physical school or be on a time restraint, but they do have 24-hour support so that you can have the support that you need. They have online digital books that you get, which is included in the class, and you get the training that you need to start you off on the right path in this medical billing career. Now, I've been given a code for those of you who are interested in taking a class through Preppy to get $100 off of your total cost, which can be a help to you when you are investing in this career. But do make sure that you remain open-minded, stay updated, and willing to continuously learn, because even though you take a course and learn the foundations of medical billing, which you will need, you will also need to continuously learn medical billing and the specialty that you'll be in. The fourth misconception is that providers are going to give you all the information that you need in order to put on these claim forms, and the only thing that you'll have to do is just send out the information and collect the money. Now, I do wish that it was that easy, but think about that. If it was that simple, would not the providers do their own billing if they're giving you all the information that you need anyway? They want to save on money. They wouldn't pay you or pay a medical biller in order to do what they can do. So if it's that easy, we would not have a job. In reality, they depend so much on us, more than you may think. So that is why it is important for you as a medical biller to know the foundations, know what you're doing, and be open to learning more of what you don't know. I have providers who count on me all the time. They may know about their specialty clinical wise as far as what they did, how they did it, and maybe even the code that they think goes with that, which they should know if they're being the ones who are coding. But when it comes to sending it out, to billing it and collecting money for that service that they provided, they are not keeping up with the payer's guidelines or the payer's rules. Different payers have different guidelines and rules. And as the time goes on and on, it is getting harder and harder to keep up on all the payer guidelines and rules. Because even with having a patient who has a Blue Cross Blue Shield policy and another patient who has a Blue Cross Blue Shield policy, they can have two different policies with two different sets of benefits and rules and regulations that you have to keep up with. And the provider is expecting you to know each and every one of these so that they can get paid for the services that they provided to this patient. So if you think that the provider is going to hand over the information, give you everything that you need, and don't have any questions or expect you to do anything, then I'm sorry to tell you that that is not how it's going to be. Be prepared to do your research, to make sure that you can educate and inform the provider when they don't know, which a lot of times they don't know about when it comes to billing. That is going to be your job. That's going to be what you are supposed to do and what they're expecting you to do. And you want to make sure that you're on top of your game to do it effectively and do it efficiently so that they can continuously bring in the revenue that they need to run their practice. So let me know in the comment section if any of these misconceptions were ones that you thought, and if you still believe them or you have changed your perspective. And if there are any other misconceptions that I have not listed, please put them in the comments below. And I'll see you again in my next video.